Okay, so when you think of ancient empires, what comes to mind? Rome, right? Maybe Egypt. But what if I told you there was another civilization, one that's been a major global power since before Rome was even a thing? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Persia, a civilization defined not just by its power, but by its almost unbelievable ability to keep coming back. I love this quote because it just nails a Persian story. It's this wild cycle of total collapse and then spectacular rebirth. And it happens over and over again for thousands of years. So, what was their secret? How did they pull this off time and time again? All right, let's get into it. To really get Persia, you have to start with the land itself. I mean, the whole story begins with this fundamental tension, a conflict between two very different types of people in two very different landscapes that has shaped this region for millennia. So picture this. On one side, you've got these tough, hardy, semi-nomadic people living up in the Zagros Mountains. That's the heart of Persia. And on the other side, down in the fertile plains, you have these super sophisticated, populous societies. For 6,000 years, the dynamic between these two, the invaders from the mountains and the rich targets on the plains, created this constant cycle of conflict and culture swapping that basically forged Persia's unique identity. And it's out of this constant push and pull that the first great Persian Empire explodes onto the scene. And it's led by a guy who's about to completely rewrite the rules of what an empire even is. His name was Cyrus the Great, and his plan for running the world was nothing short of revolutionary. Now you have to understand just how radical this was. Before Cyrus, empires like the Assyrians were built on one thing: terror. You conquer, you crush, you oppress. Cyrus just threw that whole playbook out the window. He believed in respecting the cultures and religions of the people he conquered, which, it turns out, creates a pretty stable empire that people don't mind being a part of. And this wasn't just some PR campaign. When he conquered Babylon, he famously freed the enslaved Israelites and let them go home. This was so huge that in the Hebrew Bible, Cyrus is the only non-Jewish person to be called a Messiah. Think about that. He wasn't just another conqueror. To them, he was a liberator. Okay, so you've built the biggest empire on Earth. Now, how do you actually run the thing? Well, Cyrus had this genius system. He broke the empire up into regions managed by governors called satraps. But, and this is the clever part, he had a network of spies called the King's Eyes to keep tabs on them. And then he connected it all with an amazing road and postal system so messages could fly across the empire. And it wasn't just about good government. The Persians were incredible innovators. We're talking about underground aqueducts called qanats that made the desert bloom, and these ancient domed refrigerators called yakchals that could store ice in the middle of summer. They also gave us one of the world's first major monotheistic religions, Zoroastrianism, and some of the earliest ideas about human rights. And get this, for the ancient world, women had amazing freedoms. They could own land, run their own businesses. Pretty incredible. And if you want to know just how long a shadow Cyrus casts, get this. Thomas Jefferson, yeah, that Thomas Jefferson, actually studied a biography of Cyrus when he was writing the Declaration of Independence. That's a legacy that literally helped shape the modern world. But you know how it is. Every great empire meets its match eventually. And for Persia, that match was a young Macedonian king with insane ambition and a military mind for the ages. This wasn't just a war, it was a showdown between two totally different men. And when Alexander moved, he moved like lightning. Seriously, look at this timeline. In just 4 years, this kid takes down a superpower that had been on top for 2 centuries. It's one of the most stunning military campaigns in all of history. So here's the thing you have to understand. The Persian Empire didn't just crumble because it was old or weak. No, this was a case of incredibly bad luck. It was this perfect storm, this cosmic mismatch. You had Alexander, a true once-in-a-millennium general, leading from the front, and on the other side, you had the Persian emperor, Darius III, who literally ran away from the battle twice and caused his own giant army to just fall apart. Alexander's victory was absolute. The capital, Persepolis, was burned to the ground. The empire was shattered. For anyone else, that would be game over, the end. But this is Persia we're talking about. And for them, it was just the start of the next chapter. The phoenix was about to rise. And this is where you see that amazing Persian pattern kick in again. It's this cycle that happens over and over. A dynasty gets weak, and these nomadic invaders sweep in. But here's the twist. Instead of wiping out the culture, the conquerors get absorbed by it. They adopt the Persian way of doing things and just become the next phase of the Persian story. And this really happened. After Alexander's brief empire fell apart, who rose up? Native dynasties, the Parthians, and then the Sasanians. They rebuilt a powerful, purely Persian empire, so strong it fought Rome to a draw for centuries. The phoenix was back, and it was a world power again. So why should we care about all this ancient history? Well, because Persia's next great rebirth is one that directly shaped the modern world, all through its incredible impact on the Islamic Golden Age. Right, so in the 7th century, a new wave of conquerors, the Arab Muslims, arrives. And again, Persia is conquered. But here's that pattern again. The culture wasn't wiped out. Far from it. It became the engine, the absolute administrative and intellectual powerhouse of the new caliphate. I mean, think about it. The administrative model for the new empire? Persian. The brilliant scholars in Baghdad who saved all that Greek and Roman knowledge and then invented things like algebra? So many of them were Persian. And even those incredible stories from 1001 Nights, Aladdin, Sinbad, they grew out of older Persian tales. But that cycle of destruction and rebirth, it wasn't done. And this golden age came to a horrifying end with one of the most brutal invasions humanity has ever seen. The Mongols. And they were a whole different kind of conqueror. And just to give you a sense of the scale, one of the later conquerors, Timur, is estimated to have killed around 17 million people. That was 5% of the entire world's population at the time. It's a level of destruction that's almost impossible to comprehend. And yet, Persia survived. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? It's all about synthesis. Persia has this incredible ability to absorb its conquerors, to take new ideas, whether from the Greeks or the Arabs, and blend them with its own ancient soul, creating something new, but still uniquely Persian. It bends, but it doesn't break. So it really makes you think, doesn't it? When we look around at our world today, how many of our big ideas, human rights, science, algebra, even just great storytelling, can be traced all the way back to the Persian plateau. It's an amazing legacy from an incredible and seemingly unbreakable civilization.